Hey guys, welcome to the 100th episode of Crazy D's Equipment. So, what did you guys think of the hat and glasses? So, that's how I started out this channel. I carried the get up for Crazy D from the Car Wizards channel over to this one I very began. But and I've devolved and changed and went back to just being me instead of wearing the silly hat and glasses. And even with the Car Wizards channel, I had gold chains. It was ridiculous. But we've gone back to being regular Crazy D. But the one thing that has not changed at all, and that is my absolute love for the 930Ks tractor. My very first video that was ever put out on this channel, number one, was on the 930 that I had on the lot, and we're going to talk about this 930 today. I've have collected these forever. I have had so many of these that it is absolutely ridiculous. And well, here, let me give you a little example of how many 930 cases I've bought this year. So guys, what do you think? That's quite a few tractors to buy in a year. Some of those I've kept. Some of those I've sold, or I have a really good friend up in Wisconsin who is a big 930 guy just like myself, and he's took a bunch of them up there. Actually, I'd have to admit he's a lot bigger 930 guy than I am because his collection number's about 200. But anyways, guys, let's get to the point of this video, the 930 case. Let me tell you a little bit about this tractor. The 930 case was built from 1960 to 1969. When it first came out, it was just like the 900 that predated it basically. There's a few little modern, little tiny changes that were done to it. It was a rear entry tractor, which means you crawled up from the back, just like an LA Case or a W9 International, you entered from the rear. Later on, they changed it, same orange round fenders, like many of those that you saw in the little slideshow of all the things I bought. You entered from the side like this. They ran that for a few years, and then after that, they changed it to the more modern-looking square fender design, like this one is, and they ran that to the end. Now, the earlier Wheatland tractors, and a lot of them were just Wheatland tractors, were just a standard 6-speed transmission. Later on, they came out with the general purpose tractor, and I think I had a couple of those in there. It had 3-point, all the hydraulics and stuff, and it had a high-low, and you had a 12-speed rear end. This one here has a 12-speed. This tractor is a last year 69. It also has the wider axles on the back. Unfortunately, this one here is a bareback. It has no PTO, no 3-point, nothing back there. It does have hydraulics, so I don't know if that affects it being a bareback or not, but it does have a hydraulics back there. The 930 case came in 2 fuels, your diesel, your gas. LP was more common in this area. I've never seen a gas one, but I do know they made it, and I do know someone that has one, but I've personally never seen one. Majority of them are either going to be diesel or they're going to be the LP motor, liquid propane. The liquid propane tractors, the earlier ones have your big round fuel tank right here. The later ones, they move that fuel tank to back behind you. This one here is a diesel, and the same with the diesel. The earlier ones, you had a nice, pretty square fuel tank here, and then later on they moved it to a much larger fuel tank behind your seat. These are about an 80 to 90 horsepower tractor. These things are, you find them all through western Kansas, the big plain states. These were great big plow horses, and they will run forever. I had a guy one time write me and say, oh, the 930 was a good tractor, but the motor burned up all the time and blah, blah, blah. And I just guess he had bad luck, because I have never had an issue with the 930. So I have a friend down in Kingman, Kansas, who uses one of these to run their irrigation well. At the end of June, mid-July, after the end of wheat harvest, they take the thing out, they hook it to the irrigation pump, they hook it to a auxiliary diesel tank, a big massive thing, and that thing runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've been doing this for the last 5 years, maybe more with this tractor. The only thing they've had to do to that tractor with all that running is there is an emergency shutoff switch installed just in case something goes terribly, and they've had to rebuild the heads once due to the fact that they had some debris get in due to stupid people. But otherwise, that tractor runs day in, day out. They've never had a bit of issues. They've never had trouble with it overheating. They've never had trouble with it burning up the lower end. They've never had trouble, and I think that is saying a hell of a lot for a motor like this, to be able to run thousands of hours every season, year after year after year after year after year, and continue going on and on. So I tell you what, the combination that you want, if you're going on a 930 case that you're going to want to maybe do some field work with it, or just have a cool play tractor or something, you want that 401 diesel. That 401 diesel is one of the, if not the best diesel engines ever made. And the best thing about about a 930, they started it with the L, ran it all the way through the LA, the 500, the 600, the 900, and the 930 is that chain drive transmission. That chain drive transmission is 86% more efficient than a gear-driven transmission. So you're getting more of the horsepower from this diesel to those back wheels than you are on any other tractor. I don't know why after this model they decided to modernize and go to work and get like everybody else and start doing the regular gear drive transmissions and the 970s, et cetera, because I, I've had a 970 and they're not as good of tractor as the 930. They're good, and I would never say otherwise, but they're not as good as a 930. You're not putting the power to the dirt like you are in this one. Um, they do good, but they're just not as good. And the motors, they changed some things in the motor, and I think the quality of the motor went down. And I know what can you do about that? So to wrap this up, guys, real quick, uh, these are the reasons why I say the 930 is the best tractor ever made. You may disagree. You can tell me about it in the comments. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you. But otherwise, guys, thank you for coming in. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next week.